Hi, guys. Welcome back to our podcast, The Real Deal with Sass, hosted by Esuk.
And Siri?
Yay! On this podcast, we are going to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And what is interesting is that this month is Mental Health Awareness Month in May. So, for me, I think it's great to talk about mental health, bring up this topic and share. And, because this podcast is our views and our experiences
Yeah.
on different topics, current topics, hot topics, any kind of topics. So, it's our views, our perspectives, our experiences.
Yeah.
We're not going to be like, we are experts.
Definitely not
We
experts.
have all these facts. But also, I think nowadays we have all these social media platforms,
We do. Yeah.
which is great, great, great. What we also mentioned in our previous episode. And I see that there are not only celebs, there are, YouTubers, there are random people, you and I, talking about this topic.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that, because they are exposing themselves. They are out there for the world to see how they experience their struggles and everything. Yeah, and I also see because there's certain countries and cultures, especially in the Asian culture,
Yeah.
it's taboo to talk about mental health issues and everything. So I just enjoy watching different people, raise this awareness more on social media platforms. So yeah, it's good.
And I think we have to. Yeah, and I actually read that there's 5 to 30% of people go through something that has to do with mental health throughout their lives. And that's a lot of people.
That is a lot.
Also that we have to be more aware that it's actually okay to not be okay all the time.
That's true. Oh, it reminds me of a K-drama. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And that drama is about amongst other things, mental health.
Yeah.
So, but it's true, and I just there's so many different countries and cultures that you don't talk about it.
No.
You don't talk about mental health issues or something that's bothering you. You kind of just deal with it yourself, and that's it's self-destroying sort of. It's dangerous to not deal with it, sort of, if you have any kind of struggles.
Don't belittle it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Because something major to you
Yeah.
can maybe be something very minor to somebody else, but that's your thing, right?
Yeah.
That's your thing. But there's so what about loneliness, being lonely, especially now during COVID? So I know that there's some professors that got funding for to research on how students cope or have coping
During COVID.
during COVID,
Yeah.
being a student.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Very
because it
interesting.
must be hard. You're so used to, you're supposed to go to university and meet new people, and then you're stuck in, and maybe it's the first time you live by yourself, and you have no idea what to expect, and then you get stuck. And loneliness is so much more than just being lonely or alone. You can be lonely when you're with a lot of people, and you can be lonely in a relationship and all that as well. So loneliness is something that's can cause a lot of anxiety and panic attacks and even depression.
But how do you, if we want to get into loneliness, how do you feel or cope living alone, being single?
Yeah, right now
Do you feel in loneliness now, or is it
no, I'm pretty comfortable with it right now. Yeah. But of course, there's been times when you feel very lonely, and especially you can feel the loneliness when you see people post things on social media that they're happy and they're out with friends, and then you're by yourself. You can feel it even more, you know, and stuff like that.
Is that a pre or during COVID or just in general or?
That was pre-COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm pretty comfortable with everything,
Yeah.
and because you don't have a choice to go out or do anything.
That's the thing.
As we mentioned in our first episode that we were talking about it.
Yeah.
But no, are you feeling lonely now, or have you ever felt lonely? Or
I mean, I do feel lonely. I felt pre-COVID. Remember I mentioned that I had plans every weekend, like partying, meeting friends, being social, drinking a lot. So every Sunday, I felt kind of lonely. I was like, oh, I was like super depressed almost every Sunday. I was like, no, that's called being hungover. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's hungover.
That's the being hungover. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, jokes aside, yeah, yes, I do feel lonely. And the fact that I'm just alone. It's like because sometimes I can get like super depressed. I can go in like these deep depressions where I just don't really talk to people. I kind of like avoid people. If they like contact me or reach out on like social media or whatever, I'm like, "Ugh, yeah, what? I don't know. I'll just I'll reply tomorrow or the day after or in a couple days or whatever." And I think I mean, for me, it's better after I went through my thing in 2019
Yeah.
that I mentioned in the previous episode.
Yeah.
I think that I can cope better. It's a lot to do with adoption.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So for me, it was like, I think I was just coping, like, I don't know, I would call it identity crisis or something. And I have a thing where I deal with things on my own, right? And I go into these deep depressions, and then like, boom, I'm over it. It can take a day or a week or whatever, and then I'm like, I'm fine, and I can like really snap out of it, and like 5 minutes later, or if I have to, or if it's for work or being with friends, I'm like all happy again, and you know, professional and all that. But inside, I'm like, you know, I just don't want to talk to people or like do anything or be social. But the thing is that I personally think that I'm dealing with it and I'm over it, and you know, but I haven't really dealt with it really because I don't talk to anybody about it,
No.
right? So
Do you know when you get into these kind of dark place? Can you feel it?
I can feel it. I
Yeah.
can feel it because when I go into it, it's like I just, you know, tough to say. Let's say if it's during a weekend and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to take a shower. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I just,
Isolate yourself.
I really isolate myself. And it's like, yeah, I just isolate myself. There are very few. There's one really good friend, and she lives in Denmark, so you know,
Oh.
right next to us actually. She knows of it. But yeah, it's like if I'm like really down, I'm like, "Nah." Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. But other than that, it's yeah, loneliness. The thing is that remember I said that I really like being alone by myself, my own company. I've become more of this homebody. I like to be single. I like to live alone and stuff. For me, that's not the loneliness feeling, right? That's the thing. But I do, as you mentioned, like I see these, you know, happy couples with their kids, and I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. So I think for me during COVID was really that they had each other. They have each other, right? Yes, I have my again, great, loving, supporting family, but we don't live close. And also, I don't want to like expose my parents or my brother and his family to like, what if I have some,
COVID.
right? And then yeah, so I have kept my distance. I think that that wasn't really good for me.
Well, yeah, I've had social anxiety for a while. I'm not sure how long, but I've had it for years, and it's tough sometimes. But now that I'm older, I've actually taught myself how to deal with it. But I had really bad anxiety. Like I couldn't get on the bus if there's a lot of people on the bus, and you just kind of start to sweat, and your heart starts to raise, and you don't know what to do. So I started to remove myself from that situation. Instead of getting on that bus, I started to sort of, okay, well, I'm gonna walk to work instead, and then I calm down, and I don't actually have to like deal with that. But then I got to a point where I really need to figure out what's actually going on. So I started to kind of find ways that I could deal with it on an everyday basis, because this can take over your life if you have a lot of it, and it can cause like severe depression, and depression can cause something. So yeah.
But like, what did you like come to any conclusion or like because you said that you don't get like a warning when it happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, does it stem from anything or some kind of incident that happened?
Well, they say that social anxiety is more like a fear that you have on like the social settings, and what people are actually like, rejection and all that. And it comes from my insecurities that I have.
Okay, okay.
The fear of rejection, the fear of like judgment from people and stuff. And that goes, back to my insecurities that I've had. So to figure out what is this actually about and how to deal with it, I had to go through that and figure out, okay, this is about my insecurities. How do I work on my insecurities as well?
Okay.
But to get to that point, it takes a lot of like work and stuff. There's a lot of things going on, and suddenly you don't really know that a situation can make you feel like that.
Yeah.
You get into. For me, I remember we were talking about it because I had some kind of. I was like, I don't know, and
We're talking about like the podcast and episodes and stuff.
yeah, and then you said, "Is this your anxiety?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." But I didn't know that it was my anxiety until I kind of took a step back and looked at it and said, "Yeah, this is actually what it's about." So yeah.
And that was super good for me to know, because then I was like, okay. Then I also took a step back and I was like, okay, fine. Because no, I haven't had those experiences or like panic attacks or that kind of anxiety. But I respect it and I can't understand it.
No.
But I'm like, okay, you know what? This is some kind of a struggle or incident, right? So I'm gonna be like, okay, all right, then I'm here, and I understand it more when we were like chatting, right? Because it gave me kind of like a better understanding and a little bit of peace of mind, sort of, because I was like, okay,
Yeah.
it's that, and then now we can kind of like just go through this together,
Yeah.
right?
And you understand why my reactions might be irrational
Yes.
sometimes,
Yeah.
because that's what happens. You get like irrational thoughts on things, and then you just like, okay,
Spiral around.
yeah, and you spiral and you don't know what's happening. And I think, but I never ever like expect people to understand, because if you never experienced it yourself, it's hard to understand. But as you said, what you can do, and what is what you have to just be there for someone,
Yeah.
and just accept it, that it's there, and that this is actually happening.
Yeah.
So
But okay, just to go back a little. So for you it can be either like just like chatting with somebody or talking to somebody or going on the bus, or is it like going into like a grocery store, or like can it be like a big event with a lot of people? Like can you give some examples on when that
um,
occurs to you?
I used to be very like I did social settings. I used to be, yeah, it was hard for me to do stuff. You don't know when it happens because you might be tired, you might be stressed out, and that can make it easy come easily more easily. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but I now I don't really have them as much anymore. But it was just doing being like I love going to concerts, but that was kind of I put myself in that environment. So for me, that I never had any kind of anxiety going into a concert because I actually put myself in there. I think it's more when you're there and there's a lot of people and you don't expect it, sort of, and you're just like, oh, okay, now I have to deal with stuff and yeah.
so surprise parties for CD, don't do it.
Well, if they're with my friends, then
Okay, okay.
it's just like unexpected things, like yeah,
Okay, all
and
right.
it do cause like if you're very stressed or you're tired, I
It's
get
like a
them,
trigger sort of, or
yeah,
like
you
it's
get them easily,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Ah, okay.
but now that I don't, now I've, as I said, found ways that I can deal with it and I can, now I can prepare myself a bit more. Okay, I'm going into that store. It's okay, you're gonna be fine. And it's all this, I try to do like
I'm just
the,
getting milk. I'm just getting milk.
yeah, no, but I'm actually pretty social and I like to talk to people.
Yes, you are. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and so now, but I didn't, it was hard for me to do that before, but now I do. Now I talk to everyone and I don't really care.
Yeah.
But that's because I taught myself how to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, which is good because I feel like you have a better quality of life.
Yay.
But it's all of this. Like I also did this, the magic of positive thinking. Yeah,
Oh,
I call it that
okay.
because when you start thinking positive about things, it literally change a lot. But I also do this technique that I figured out myself, that I read it somewhere in a book, that and I tried it and it worked for me, that you actually, I call it to like flip the switch. That when I start thinking about things and I'm starting to feel like, okay, you take a step back, you take a free breath, and you're like, okay, this is going to be okay. You're going to be fine. No judgments, there's nothing. And then I move forward. So you kind of remove yourself from that situation in a couple of seconds, and then you kind of flip it and you're like, okay, this is going to be okay. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
And you start thinking differently because
Yeah.
this is all in my mind, and I have to sort of, so that's how I found techniques to do that. And the more I actually do this, the more it becomes a habit, and
Yeah.
it just automatically turns on. So now I'm just like, okay, this is fine, this is good.
So you didn't like seek anybody like help or anything. You kind of came to this conclusion on your own, or like how did this come?
No,
Like how did you
there,
like?
there was a point when I was having a lot of anxiety, and I was like, where is this actually coming from? And I had to figure that one out.
So that was like the first step,
The
right?
first step was to like,
Okay.
I kind of like, there's something going on. I need to figure out what's going on and where
Yeah.
it's coming from. So I started to read a lot of books and started to trying to figure stuff out. But then you have to like try things yourself. And then you have to sort of, it's all about changing your mindset and changing how you see a situation. And then I started to think, these panic attacks, they're only temporary. They're only going to last for this much time, and I'm going to be fine, So
Yeah.
it's just something that's very, it's right here, it's right now. It's not going to be for the rest of my life. It's just this situation that, and I can remove myself from that situation.
Right.
But then you have to go deeper into it and figure out, now I know it's a lot about my insecurities and all that, but and then you can work on that, and I think it's gonna be better, and it is better. It's heaps better. I don't have them hardly ever anymore.
It's a
So
great mindset. But let's say that you were like you kind of thinking, I don't know if I can get rid of this. I say rid of it because but would you then seek help
yeah,
or talk
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
somebody, a more
Oh,
professional person, or
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I don't. That's not. I'm not ashamed to say I would want to go and talk to someone.
So, did you talk to your parents or your sister about this, or how did you did you communicate with them about this?
No, not really when I was younger, because I've always been a very like happy kid and happy youth, and I was kind of but I had, my struggles, and I was keeping them to myself. But that was also because I didn't know what was going on with myself. Like, it was hard for me to understand. But when I got older, I kind of realized what was actually going on, and that I had anxiety and I had all that. And then I started to talk to them about it. And they were like, they understood, like, they were trying to understand, and they were accepting of it. And but as we talked about earlier, it's hard for them to understand what I'm actually going through when they don't have that themselves, But they've been understanding, and in now I talk to them about it, and it was kind of like, I know I don't want to do that. They were like, okay, that's cool, I understand.
Yeah.
But it's that thing, like, when you don't really know yourself, it's hard to explain, and it's hard but I don't expect anyone to sort of understand, because you have to sort of have gone through it yourself to fully understand it. But I appreciate it, and I love when people are open, and they're, as you said to me, I'm here if you need me and to talk about it. And that's the best thing you can do.
That can be enough, sort of. But have
Yeah.
you do you have anybody around you, like a friend or not a friend or whatever, somebody that you can share this with, like has a similar experiences or, or struggles or whatever? And have you like talked
Yeah,
to?
I do have a few friends that I've talked to it. But what I did was that I started to write a lot about it, because when I don't have anyone to talk to, well, I thought I didn't have anyone to talk to. But then you start talking to people, and they're like, oh, I know how you feel. I'm feeling the same way, because I
Yeah.
haven't actually been open about it.
Right.
But I started to write just like little notes or little things, and just trying to, okay, why am I feeling this, and what's
Like a
going
little
on.
diary, sort of,
Yeah,
or
sort of
like,
like a diary, but
yeah.
but just like random notes, because sometimes you just need to get it out, and just like, not even just talking, but just talk to yourself and write it down. And then you kind of, I had to try to understand what where is this coming from, and what's
Yeah.
going on. So for me, that really helped.
It's like your own therapy session with yourself,
Yeah,
sort of like
it
you
is.
can write it down or your thoughts and everything, and then that's like your session, sort of,
Yeah,
like yeah.
and you
Instead
can.
of going to somebody, a professional,
Yeah.
you like that's your way of
Yeah,
handling
and
it, sort of,
going to a
yeah.
professional is also a really really good thing to do. And but for me, that was what I did, and it helped me a lot, just because I could like sort a little bit of what's actually going on in my mind. And as I said, I've always been happy, but there's always been something that I didn't know what was going on, and then sometimes I could be really sad. And
Yeah.
but now, I'm good, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm sure there's something that I have to deal with for the rest of my life. And luckily, I don't have a lot of it. I know a lot of people do have really really bad anxiety, and depressions and panic attacks, and it's, we're all different, and we
All different,
all
yeah.
have a different sort of history, and and nothing is worse than the other. It's all, you know
Yeah.
Mm.
And I just appreciate when you're open, and I have a really good friend in the States. um, she told me about her experiences.
Mm.
And as you said, they're all different.
Mm.
And but for her, like her panic attacks are so bad, so severe that like she sometimes ends up at the ER,
Mm.
like blacks out or
Oh.
faints. And so I'm like, damn,
Mm.
like, but the thing is that for you, they are quite big, right? That's the thing. Like for you,
For
they're
me, yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah,
and so that's what you said that, um, we're all different, and
yeah.
we like,
We all have a different experience of it. For
yeah,
me, this is big, but it might not seem to be big for anyone else. It's and you should never compare this
exactly, yeah,
to
no,
anyone, and just like this is my experience of it, and it's for me at that point it's pretty severe and it's pretty
yes,
bad, but
yes,
and for it might not seem that I'm going through something, but I am. So it's nice. Just remember to be kind to people and
and
be
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 open,
open because you don't
yeah.
really know what's going on.
And
And
that's the thing. But I just really appreciate and cherish that,
mm,
you're so open about it, and like it's gonna be on YouTube, so like hello.
everybody knows. Yeah.
And like my friend, how open she is by
Mm.
sharing what she's going through and her struggles and everything. And it just gives me more, like, not only love,
Yeah.
but it's like a more, to try to understand, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
I fully can't understand, but I at least try. So my question is also like, how can we, that really, we don't really have these experiences,
Mm.
but what can we do to, like, understand more, or support, or like, what can we do when you're in that kind of state, or when
Well,
you're
I
in
think
have an incident or something.
yeah, I think you're already doing it. Like you're already asking me how I feel and you're asking me to share my experiences. Just that shows that you're open to it.
Mm.
And it just try to be open, try to comfort that person, just be there and know that you're there. And for me, it's like when someone say, "Hey, remember this is not this is temporary. It will pass. You're going to
Mm.
be okay."
Yeah.
And just, take a step back and maybe let that person just feel whatever they're feeling and then just be there. I think that's the best way to do it.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Is it, do you like it, or do you appreciate when your friends are like, okay, or, when I asked you, is
Mm.
this like one of your anxiety things? And you're
Mm.
like, yes. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
okay. Do you appreciate that, or that question, or
Yeah,
yeah.
like because now I'm so comfortable with it, like not comfortable, but I'm so what's the word I'm looking for right now? I'm so I know it so well now, and
Right,
I'm not
yeah.
like I'm not ashamed to talk about it anymore.
Mm.
So right now, I think it's okay to say, yeah, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like a couple of years ago, I'd be like, dude, what are you talking about? No, it's
Mm.
not, because I didn't want to be like vulnerable. I didn't want to be like, oh no, I can't handle my life. I can't do these things. But
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. And,
Mm.
you know, I'm, cause I want you to know. I want you to share. Like I want to share, and I want to be
Yeah.
like,
Share and
and
be
I'm not
open, yeah.
ashamed of it anymore. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Mm.
You know, I think it's like when you get to that point and you say, this is who I am. This is a
Mm-hmm.
part of me, and I think that's the strength. Like you can
Kind of
actually,
embrace it now.
yeah,
You
and
like,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
embracing it, and I'm like trying to understand it, which is like instead of being like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, this is what's going on, and it makes me kind of grow a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. I love
mm,
that. And it's like, for every person, going through something, you kind of have to, like, understand whatever it is yourself first, right?
Oh yeah.
Like with me in the previous episode, right?
Yeah.
Is like you have to understand it. You have to truly understand it yourself, and then you kind of like go to the next step, sort of.
Then you can work on it.
Then you can work
Because
on
you
it.
know what you're actually working on,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's kind of, you have to find that thing that's like, and as I said in like the first episode, we were talking about soul search, like a little bit of soul searching, and you have to sort of, I called it to peel the onion and stuff, and I think this is what you do in this sense as well, because you kind of, you find that layer and you go even deeper into that layer, and a question that I've asked myself a lot is like, why am I feeling this right now? Why am I having these emotions? And then the whys, you go deeper into the whys, and then you suddenly understand, yeah, that's it. And then I work on that, or I try to flip it around, trying to use that switch thing that I was talking about, and just say, okay, so this, I'm afraid that this and this is going to happen, and then I say, but okay, it's not going to happen, it's going to be okay, and it's just like, but I think it takes a while to get there.
Yes, yeah, and onions have a lot of layers.
I know, but that's just a metaphor for something.
No,
bigger.
but I'm like, yeah, it can take a while.
It can take a while.
And that's fine.
It's fine.
That's totally fine, right?
And it doesn't matter how you do it or when you do it. It's just like, if you're ready to do it, you should like really try and get into that whole, why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
What's in my core? Like, why am I? Because for me, it was kind of, I felt so much more comfortable now talking about it, because I know the issues and I can talk about them, and I know why I'm getting all of these. Well, used to get a lot of these, anxiety and all that. And now I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love that you're sharing this and everything. And I really appreciate that you're letting me kind of in and like, okay, CD, is this one of these episodes? And you're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, thank you for being open and communicating it with me. So I know you can step back with when you have an incident, and then I can step back and be like, okay, let her be, sort of like, she will come around. I know that it will last when it lasts, sort of. We just have to write it out together. I'm with you on this journey, and my friend in the States is like, I'm just gonna write it out with you. And if I am, whatever I can do, and other people that have friends with different struggles, is, I think, as you said, that just console, just be there. Like, if I just have to sit here for an hour, or get you water, or just pat you on your back or whatever, I will do that. And if that's enough, then okay, that's enough. You know what I mean? Because I can't fully understand, like you said in the previous episode, but you accept it, you respect it, you love me, and so it's kind of like the other way around, right?
It is.
Yeah.
So, but I really, really appreciate that as well, like you letting me be that open, because it's, sometimes it's hard to be open because you're afraid of the reaction you're going to get from that other person as well. Because if you say, hey, you know what, right now I can't do this, or you're spiraling off to something, and the person's like, oh my God, you're crazy. You feel like, okay, I'm not going to tell them about it. I'm not going to talk about it, because it's, you're getting that reaction back.
Exactly. Then you're like, nope, I'm not gonna, nope, not yet, close. Yeah.
So, but
don't be judgmental.
No, but
be open.
But it's easy to be judgmental, and
that's the thing. It's kind of like, I feel in our nature to be judgmental. I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
But
you just have to like try and flip things around, and trying to like find. As I said, I don't think when someone says that to me, I don't think they try to be mean. They don't understand. When you don't understand something, the first thing you do is like, okay, I don't know, and then you kind of go into that. mode, and it's a little bit of fear as well. I think a lot of it. But and by no, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on myself. I'm still trying, but every day is a good day, and yeah,
It's a journey.
it's a
you know?
journey,
Yeah.
and it made me who I am.
Yay! We love that. Woo!
And yeah, so
The
that's
blonde, beautiful, strong CD. Yay! We
Yay.
like that. We like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so don't be afraid to open up and share your experiences,
Yeah.
and talk to someone. And if you don't talk, find, you know,
Maybe write it
Write-
down like
Yeah.
like you do.
like
Yeah.
try and write it down, or just go for a walk and talk to yourself, you know, just like, yeah, be your friend to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that. I think it's very important. I think for a lot of, especially like youngsters. No, it's not.
Now we can say youngsters.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And also we can say youngsters. But I think it's like, when you're in that state, or when you don't have anybody to talk to, sort of, like, you need to maybe, I'm not giving like professional advice here, but I think, like, from my experiences and everything, like vice versa, is like you might need to fully understand your own struggles,
Yeah.
yourself first, and then you can take like the next step to like maybe be more open or communicate with others. But I think it's very important to, like, really understand what you're going through and why, and everything, where it stems from, or whatever, yourself, before you can, like,
Definitely.
hey, Sadie, like, I don't, I can't express it because I don't understand it myself, and it's like, it's super hard. It's like for me in the other episode, right? So it's I find it very similar, and I love that we're sharing this, because these topics are super important. And I just love that, you are so open and sharing today. I really appreciate it. So
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. I think we need to share, and if my experiences can help someone, just, feel a little bit better about yourself, then I am. That's what I want, and yeah. So
Yay.
But just remember that you don't really know what's going on with someone else. So be nice and try to be understanding, and yeah.
So just remember that 2 words can hurt.
Yep. And just be good to yourself, and be open up. Don't be ashamed to talk about anything, and write it down if you don't have anyone to talk to. And if you feel like there's no one or anything, we will be there for you. Reach out to us. We will be there. We would love to talk to you. Yeah. And yeah. So that's it.
To wrap it up, love yourself.
Yeah. Really, really just
Really
love yourself.
love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or learn how to love yourself. Try to love yourself.
Yeah.
Because we love you. So
and it's hard to love anybody else unless you love yourself first.
Exactly. Yes.
So, and everyone is beautiful in their own way. So.
Oh, I love that. Yay.
Yay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Anna, dude, sit. Bye.